Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. We're going to continue talking about safety. I just had a real a sense of urgency about communicating about safety. After all these years, I have really never made hardly any videos about safety, and I'm just feeling like I really need to. So over the next, I don't know, 6 months or so, I'll sprinkle them in. We won't go over them too much because you'll get tired of that. We get tired of the same thing over and over again. So I'm going to sprinkle in quite a bit of safety videos in different areas of it. So be prepared. It's coming. You know, in our society, we are trained to depend on someone else for our safety. We're told primarily to depend on the police. The police will keep you safe. That is a really bad idea because the police are legally under no obligation for your safety. If they fail to keep you safe, try and sue them. See what happens. You're dead in the water. The courts have ruled over and over again, no one's responsible for your safety but you. And if the police don't keep you safe, too bad, so sad. As a nomad, you are more safe than anyone else in the country because you have to take charge of your safety. There's not a policeman around here. Look around. There's no policeman around here. I call, if I had a phone service, if I call, they're not getting here for half an hour, hours, days. Uh, I need to be responsible for my safety. And so by taking responsibility for my safety and you taking responsibility for your safety, we are much safer than anyone else. So in previous videos, I told you to look about where you camp. And if you camp in a county with a very low violent crime rate, you're safer than anyone else. If there's only 2 violent crimes in a county in a year, you're safe. I mean, it could still happen, of course, but it's unlikely. And if you are in control of the people around you, the vast majority of violent crimes, including sexual assaults, are people you know. And if you have no less people, there are less people around you. You know the people around you better. You trust them more because they're more trustworthy. Then you're safer. And then we talked about intuition, how you can train your intuition to keep you safe. In fact, that gut instinct is probably the most important thing you can do to keep yourself safe. And in today's video, I want to talk to you about prevention, how you can take control and prevent even the slight chance of you being in a violent crime that is left. Now, you know, bad luck happens to everyone. You can just be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Say you go into town, you're in Walmart, and that just happens to be when there's a criminal and he's eyeing you. Well, by your behavior, by you taking control over your own life, of taking care of your own safety, you can make it so that that criminal takes one glance at you and says, no, I'm not messing with him, and he looks for an easier target. That's what I want to tell you how to do today. And you might think, well, that I can't do that. I'm just an average Joe. Yes, you can. You can take control of your life in ways you can't imagine and be responsible for your safety. And you don't need a policeman to keep you safe. You can take care of yourself. So I don't want you to just have to depend on my videos. I've been following this book a lot. It's The New Superpower for Women. The author, Steve Cardian, was in the police department for 30 years. He also worked in training at the FBI. He has specialized in particular in sexual assaults and working with women, but he's done all forms of police work. And this is such a good book. Everything I'm telling you is coming kind of basically out of this book. I've read numerous mini books, but it's mostly coming out of this book. If you buy this book and you make this your Bible of keeping yourself safe, not depending on the police or anyone else, you are responsible for your safety. If you'll follow the guidelines in this book, you will be in really, really good shape. One of the things that really stood out to me in this book is he talks about an experiment that some psychologists did in the early 80s. They went to New York City and they set up a camera that no one could see what the camera knew what was going on. And they just sat and filmed for a couple of hours in the middle of a busy New York day, traffic moving through the city sidewalks of New York. And then they went into one of the highest security prisons there in New York, and they got some pretty bad criminals in some pretty bad prisons. And they had designed this experiment that they brought in some violent criminals who were sentenced. I believe they were all sentenced to life. So they showed these criminals this video, and they said, out of these people, who would you choose to be a victim? And the incredible thing is, the criminals 100% agreed on who they would choose. They looked at all these random people, and then when the psychologist studied the people they chose, there was no rhyme or reason. I mean, you might think they're choosing older people who are frail and look like easy victims, or a handicapped person. There was no obvious logic in who they chose, but they all chose the same people. And so they asked them, why did you choose this guy? I don't see the logic in this. What's going through your head? Why did you choose him? None of them knew. None of them could give a logical, reasonable answer why I chose that person. And I'm not going to change my mind. That person's easy, and I'm going to choose that person. And that person's hard, and I'm not going to attack him or her. Now, think back to the intuition video. If you haven't watched that video, go watch that intuition video again. What's the definition of intuition? The definition of intuition is when you know something, but you don't know why. Well, that's exactly what happened to each one of these violent criminals. They knew the easy target, the person that wasn't going to fight back, that wasn't going to hurt them or make a fuss or get the police in and get them caught. But they couldn't say why. Criminals are developing their intuition on who's an easy target. So that's why it's so critically important that you are developing your intuition. This is someone I can't trust. I'm staying away from him. I'm backing away. So you can do it. The criminals are doing it. We know they're doing it. You can do it too. So what these psychologists did was they studied the people they chose, and they found common denominators. And the book has a list of the common denominators and drawings, and it will show you how you can be the person that the criminal looks at and says, no, that's a hard target. I'm not going after that person. Every criminal has two primary goals: not to get hurt, not to get caught. So if there's anything about you that makes a criminal think, a predator think, I could get hurt or I could get caught, they're leaving you alone. They're finding an easy target. So your goal is to make yourself a hard target by carrying across that attitude to them that they pick up on and saying, nope, I don't want anything to do with that person. Basically, the idea is that you are going to develop situational awareness. Now, a man named Lieutenant Colonel Cooper, he was a lieutenant colonel in the Marines, devised a system for the Marines, a color coding system, whereby you move through these color codes, starting with white and moving all the way up to green. Green was the worst in his color coding system. And a Marine is maybe he's in camp, he's in bed, he's at white, and no danger, no risk, completely not alert. And then he moved up in the scale in his scale, it's green, which is somebody's got a gun and he's hitting you and he's going to shoot you that second. I mean, it's just all out warfare. You're gonna fight and win, or you're going to die. And so he has a scale. And so basically, situational awareness says you're always in this constant awareness of what's around you. You place yourself in this situational awareness, and in that way, you make yourself a very hard target. And the criminal intuitively knows, hard target, I don't want anything to do with that person. Turns around, walks away, finds someone easy. But soon you will take up uh, situational awareness, just like you took up defensive driving, and you don't ever give it a thought. Every so often when I'm driving, something will catch my eye, a car coming to a stop sign too fast, just out of my corner of my eye, and my spidey sense goes off, my gut goes off, that just catches my eye, and I start slowing down. It's not work, it's not hard, it's not difficult, it just happens automatically. That can happen for you and will happen for you with situational awareness. Okay, so what exactly do I mean by situational awareness, and how are you going to make it come true in your life? Well, first we're going to think of the opposite. What is the exact opposite way to live from situational awareness? Well, basically, it's what the vast majority of Americans do anyway. They just sleepwalk through life. They're on autopilot. They don't aren't aware or tuned in to the things that are going on around them. They just go through life and they are unaware. The reason that you are so much safer as a nomad than you ever would be when you lived in your house is because you've woke up. You're not just sleepwalking like a robot through life, enduring the day. You wake up in the morning, maybe there's no plan for the day. You're not hyper focused on getting money and getting rich. You get up, you go outside, you're in a beautiful place, you think, wow, look at this beautiful place, and you're aware and tuned in and awake. So that is the main difference between most nomads and most people who live in their house. So becoming aware of situational awareness, being tuned into what's going on around you, is to wake up from the zombie life and be tuned in and aware. And it's going to show in your posture and the way you carry yourself. Now, the first and most important thing that the book talks about is head up, looking around. Head and eyes on a swivel. That's number one. Why? Because you're aware there's a world around you, and I'm going to look at it and see it. So you got your head up, you're looking around, and you're seeing things around you. And as you're looking around, you're establishing a baseline of what the normal world you live in should look like. So let's look at a specific example. These people walking down New York City, they're just going from place to place. They're in a hurry. They're focused on just what they're doing. They don't see anyone around them. And that's the person the criminal, the predator, is looking for. Just tuned into in his own little bubble, this little world. He's got blinders on, and it's just his own little world, his own little world of thoughts. Nothing else exists. So that's the very first thing you want to do is you want to get your head up, shoulders back, eyes forward, scanning around. That's a person that a criminal is not going to surprise, is looking around and is going to fight back probably. This is a confident person, a self-aware person, a tuned-in person to the world around them. You're not going to get attacked. So that's the number one thing. When you pull into a place like this to camp, you're going to be looking around. Is there a white spot over there? Is that a rig? Is that too close? And maybe you're going to drive past them. Is it a bunch of guys out there partying and drunk? Don't park there. Your intuition is going to scream, don't park here. So you have to be gathering information, building a baseline of what's normal and acceptable. And from that baseline, that data you're collecting all the time, uh, your intuition will keep you 100% safe. I think I can summarize it by saying there's three kinds of people that predators are looking for. The hunter who's looking for his victim is looking for. This is the person who is usually, to kind of a little bit exaggerate, is always looking down, looks mousy, looks timid, looks fearful, looks like they're a victim. And after a while, you develop that look. That becomes your personality and it becomes a look. You have to become self-aware. Ask your friends, what do I look like to complete strangers? And if that is you, then you have to become aware of it and make the decision that won't be you. You're not a victim in life now. You're taking charge. You're now the hunter. You're the hunter looking for the predator. And so you're in charge of your life, of your own safety, of your own future. And you don't want to look like that beat down person. So that's when you get your head up, you get your head on a swivel, you're looking around, eyes are wide alert. There's another person that the a predator is looking for is the person who is tuned out in life. Life is just so boring that they have to fill every minute of their life with some kind of a distraction. So they're walking around with headphones on or earbuds on. They've got a phone in their hand. You can tell they're bebopping to the music. They're in their own little world. They are tuned out, or they've got their phone up and they're reading something on the phone, or they're got their list out and they're distracted by their list. They are tuned out to life. That is a prime victim. You are so tuned out to life, you are not aware of anything going on. Just life is such basically, life is such a burden to you that you've tuned it out with every kind of distraction you can. And that's how most people live their lives. So don't be the tuned out person. Don't have earphones on. Don't have your phone open. Uh, you are present and aware, heads up, looking around, eyes open, awake. You are the awake person that your predator sees and says, not him, not her. That, that person's trouble. Another person is the hyper-focused person. You're in a real hurry. You're a businessman, you're a businesswoman, you're a mom, busy mom, and you got to get into the store, get something, and get out. Whoever you are, whatever your situation is, you're hyper-focused. You are so focused on this mission, whatever the mission is, that nothing else exists. Got to get in, get it, get out. You're still blinders. This is still blinders. And the difference in a lot of the difference between these three of these people is their speed of their walking. And this was one of the things that the psychologist who performed this experiment said was the number one thing. Head up, looking around, and then the speed and the gait, how long their strides were, how purposeful they were. So at either end, the person who's just shuffling along and kind of beat down and head down, and that person was a victim. He screamed victim. The other person who's just tuned out to the world, that person screams, and you know, they're probably walking either slow or fast, or the hyper focused person is walking really fast. They're just focusing, they're just screaming to the world, I don't know anything that's going on around me. You could walk right up to me, hit me on the side of the head with a brick, and I would never know what happened until I woke up. That's what you're screaming as you walk through life with these blinders on. So be purposeful, walk normally, normal gait, normal stride, normal arm movements, head up, looking around, tuned in to this moment. I know I've said that a dozen times. I hope you're hearing me. That's the key. The person who is aware. You, the criminal cannot surprise this person because they're awake. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say for today. I wanted to focus in on this idea of you are in charge of your safety and no one else will keep you safe but you. And these incredibly simple things of being tuned in right now to the world around you, following your intuition, building that baseline, and then going back out to a place where there aren't criminals, and then being very careful of the people you bring into your life. All of those things together will make you the safest person in America. I absolutely guarantee that. You can still be at the wrong place at the wrong time, but they'll take one look at you, hopefully, and say, no, this is not an easy target. So does all this make sense to you? I'm always afraid that when I'm done, I've just talked and talked and talked, and none of it made sense to anyone but me. Let me point this book out again to you, The New Superpower for Women by Steve Cardian. I love this book. Everything I'm telling you has come from this book. I've read a lot of other books, about safety, and another really good one is Predator, and we'll talk about it in a different video. So let me know what you thought. Does this work? Does this make sense? Am I just wasting my time? I'd love to hear from you, what you think about being safe. Or is this all stuff you think you could realistically apply to your life? I'd love to know. Okay, if you got anything out of this video, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.